Winning a war is never an easy accomplishment. World War II started in 1939 and finally came to an end in 1945. Since 1940, the United States have been trying to figure out a way to end the war. They had worked to develop an atomic weapon to possibly end the war with Japan. With the help of Albert Einstein, the U.S. had acquired the first successful atomic bomb. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped the first bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. 3 days later, they dropped another bomb on Nagasaki. A few days later, Japan surrendered and the war had officially ended. The United States needed to use atomic bombs to win the war against Japan.
The atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were rightfully dropped. By dropping the bombs, it saved many American lives. The closer we got to invading Japan, the more American lives were lost. According to Document B, 123,000 Japanese and Americans were killed in the invasion of Okinawa, an island off the coast of Japan. Imagine how many people would have died if the Americans invaded Japan. Also, Japan's soldiers would never surrender to the enemy. The American Vision textbook says that Japanese soldiers were not allowed to surrender no matter what situation they were in. They would rather die than surrender to an American. The Japanese would have stopped our ships from getting to Japan using kamikaze planes. The kamikaze planes were purposely crash into American ships to damage or sink them and kill Americans. If Americans did not drop the bombs on Japan, many American lives would have been lost.
Dropping the atomic bomb would help scare Russia and get them to stop from invading and expanding. For one, Russian troops had moved into Hungary and Romania. We were worried by these actions and thought that if we showed them our military might, it would scare them back into Russia. As Document C states, stopping Russia says, Burns was concerned about Russia's post-war behavior. Russian troops had moved into Hungary and Romania, and Burns thought it would be very difficult to persuade Russia to withdraw her troops from these countries, that Russia might be more manageable if impressed by American military might, and that demonstration of the bomb might impress Russia. Also, as the document says, it was too dangerous and difficult to try and move Russia out of Hungary or Romania. We were currently in a deep war with the Japanese and couldn't afford a war with Russia. Lastly, as the document also states, Russia may be more manageable if they are scared by our military might. Then we could avoid war and get them to stop and go back into Russia. So in all, by dropping the atomic bomb, we could get Russia to retreat while still avoiding war.
The bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki helped end the war. In the document Hiroshima's Triumph, written by John W. Dower, it says, "It is hard to imagine that the Japanese would have surrendered without the atomic bomb." This holds true when the average Japanese man would rather die than surrender, along with the fact it was considered illegal to surrender. The Japanese government was not surrendering, and we had to show them the power and technology we had. Okinawa is an example of this. Many American troops were killed when the Japanese would not surrender on the island. In Document E, it tells us that in Hiroshima and Nagasaki there were 199,000 deaths compared to 425,000 American lives lost in World War II. That number would have been higher if we did not drop the atomic bomb.
In conclusion, we believe that dropping the bombs on Japan was necessary in order to end the war. By dropping the bombs, it put an end to Japan's war efforts and saved American lives, and stopped the Soviet Union from advancing. The atomic bomb produced many positive results. The United States needed to put an end to the war, and they finally found a way to do it. Without the use of the bomb, America would not be the same, and the war may have lasted for a lot longer than it did. The use of the atomic bomb was not a mistake.